Cannabis Talk Show live. Yes, we are still here at the CWCBE at the LA Convention Center, the Cannabis World Congress Business Expo. And I am so very fortunate to have one of the pioneers in the cannabis industry and also an African-American businessman, Mr. Calvin Frye, owner of Cloneville and also Compassionate Caregivers in Studio City, California. Mr. Frye, may I call you Calvin?
Just call me Cal.
Calvin, if you would, tell our Cannabis Talk Show listeners about your journey into the cannabis industry and the importance of you being able to sustain that great visibility that you've had in this cannabis industry.
It's such a long story. It's going on year number 15 for me. So guys like me and Richard Eastman, whether Dennis Perron, the D'Angelos of the world, Don Duncans or whatnot, we've been around for quite a long time. And guys like myself, being African American male, it's been even harder because not only for the fact that we're dealing with a Schedule I drug, but also for the fact that as an African American male, I probably didn't get as many chances. I wouldn't have gotten as many chances to walk a thin line or do as much as my counterparts have done, because I've seen people like Virgil Grant, who was another African American male, and he went to prison for 8 years, I believe, and he started right with me in Los Angeles. And probably what he did was no different than 50 other people that was doing the same thing at the same time. But ironically, another African American male, war on drug victim. I couldn't be that guy. So not only because I have a wife and kids, I just couldn't be that guy because I've gone to school, graduated, gone to grad school, and career as a scientist and got into the industry to put a good face on it. So regardless of the temptations of doing a little extra to take advantage of that true cash industry back at the time, I just felt the integrity of what I needed to do, not only for me, myself, and my family, but as a representative of the African American community, had to keep it right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Much appreciation.
Yeah. So, and as far as the presentation now and, 15 years into the future, we're doing what we're doing. And I wanted to step away from just being a dispensary owner. And I travel the country now speaking. And no matter what convention I go to and wherever I go, I'm usually one of the only African-American males speaking, as usual. I'm so happy to see my sisters getting into the game because I see them bonding together and doing a lot of things, and that's a great thing. And I'd just like to see more of us in the game, but I guess more of us need to see more people like me in the game to give them that motivation that they can get in there too, and the sustainability that I've had for the last 15 years to maybe give hope to that other African American male that wants to get in here and turn it into something big and something to be proud of. So that's why I do what I do.
Wow, that's excellent. Calvin, if you would share some of the challenges and obstacles that you faced and maybe are still facing sometimes in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I always I laugh with the stereotypes that come with this because I remember before this industry took off, when it was still taboo, and it didn't matter what race, nationality you were, it was criminal, and you were viewed as a criminal. And even within some of the activist groups out there, they still felt that me as an African American, if the law came in, if there was a raid or if there was a TV station came in the door, they were still had the nerves to tell me, an educated scientists, more degrees than all of them put together, that I should give them a call. It's comical when I think about it now that I should give them a call if the news reporter showed up. But luckily, I am a very proud, smart man, and that didn't happen. And one of the very moments in the history of cannabis that put us on the map was when NBC showed up at my location one day to do a sting segment, where she came in and her intents. This was as I tell people in my shows, when they show up with the small microphone, that's just a beat reporter. You don't have to worry about that guy. It's the guy with the big square NBC microphone that you had to.
NBC,
yeah,
right? Who has the peacock on
with the peacock on it.
Peacock.
When you see the peacock, then you better be ready. So the peacock showed up at my door to just do a sting operation, so to speak, but media hit style. And when she came in, it was like, hey, I'm with NBC, and we heard the chief of police is saying these bad clubs are popping up and selling weed or whatever. I invited her in the door, showed her the licenses on my wall, and the AIDS and kidney transplant patients that were working for me, and no Snoop Dogg or Bob Marley, and nothing against my brethren. None of that music playing in the background. Not the smell of weed, nothing, but an actual, real clinic, looked like a pharmacy. She was so surprised that she yelled out, "Cut," to the camera guy. Went back to my lobby, called the producers at NBC, and was like, "Hey, I'm at a shop, and it's the opposite of what you guys were saying. This guy, he's got certificates on the wall. He's got real patients working for him, and all of this and that." And
just doing it the right way.
She talked a little bit more, and then she hung up the phone, and she came back to me, and she said, "Mr. Frye, can I go back outside and we reshoot this?" So she went back outside, her big damn microphone in hand, and she rang my doorbell. And this time when she came in like she had some sense, and in a very polite way, was like, respectful way, asked me who I was and what I was doing. And then I obviously proceeded to tell her what I told her the first time that she came. And she ended up coming back and reshooting the whole episode. And that night she called up the big NBC truck with the big satellite, so I guess it could go nationwide, because it was a positive story, yeah. So the next day, I got all these calls from those same people telling me, "Oh, you should have called us," congratulating me. So, Amen. I have a million of those stories, but I love sharing that one because I truly believe that was one of the critical moments in the turning point of this whole crazy war on drugs and medical cannabis beginning to get in the forefront, because 2 weeks later Netflix sent some people over and we made a movie that's super famous right now called Super High Me with Doug Benson and those guys in it, and it's a cult classic right now. And that happened on the heels of that interview.
Oh my gosh!
I have so many stories to tell you.
Congratulations!
So one of these days I'll get over there get on the camera with you guys, and we'll share some of these wonderful stories.
And that's amazing. As we say at Cannabis Talk Show Live, that's can-amazing.
Yes, can-amazing. Right
so, Calvin, tell us about Cloneville. What is...
the crazy thing with Cloneville, and it kind of relates to what's going on right now, because of the lack of rules and the lack of enforcement and just kind of all out wild, wild west back in 2010, because I refused to take the chance of growing what would have actually technically been an illegal grow and attaching it to my dispensary. I couldn't take that chance because of what I saw that happen to people like Virgil. I didn't do it. So my business was failing because I couldn't grow I wasn't going to grow weed, so my prices were way higher than all my competition.
You mean grow on site?
Yeah. So I just was like headed downhill, and I was like, but you know what? What I can do is clones and sell that to the people that are growing, and do that legally through my shop, because that avenue I had. And 10 years later, we're one of the biggest genetics guys in LA that people come to get their clones with, and it actually sustained me throughout that process. So I'm happy to still be here selling good genetics.
Can amazing.
Right.
Calvin, tell our listeners how they would contact Cloneville or Compassionate Caregivers.
Oh, yeah,
right
definitely.
In Studio City?
Right in Studio City, right there. We're at 11422 Moore Park Street in Studio City, or they could go to cloneville.org, and all that wonderful information is right there.
All right. And last but not least, what would you advise, or what are some of the pointers you would give for African Americans or people of color that are trying to get into this business right now with all the licensing and everything the right way, legally? Right.
Yeah, like I just told everybody at the workshop that I did today, and this goes across the board, but especially to us. You have to make sure that you lawyer up a little bit. Make sure that you team up with some intelligent people that have something to lose, so that when you get into this business and you go out there and you make those contacts, that you're going to be in business with someone that is not going to go out and do something stupid and bring your whole business down. You're going to want to make sure that you go read the rules and regulations of the particular jurisdiction that you're in. A lot of people just think what they're doing over in Downey or Palmdale, you can do in LA, or vice versa. It doesn't work that way. Every local jurisdiction has its rules and regulations and the number of licenses they're going to give out. So it's a complicated process in that regard, but not too overly complicated that you can't get it done. But then once you have those things done and you're ready to go, seek financing with someone with a solid contract. Make sure you have an attorney look over your paperwork really well, so that there aren't little loopholes in there that you can go make that business successful and turn around and you're only getting 5% of the take. And there have been numerous contracts like that people have found out the hard way that they signed. So that's definitely would be my advice.
Read the contracts. Read the fine print.
Read the fine print.
Wow. Well, Calvin Frye, it has been amazing speaking to you. Thank you for your time, your energy, and much continued success at Compassionate Caregivers, Cloneville.
Thank you so much, sweetie.
All right. Johnny Matthews, your host of Cannabis Talk Show Live. We are out.